What's up, Elevate? It's Pastor Andrew, and we are here with week 6 and our final week of our series titled Love Thy Neighbor. And this week we're talking about service. So, when I say the word service, what I'm talking about is the idea of how to help someone or to do work for someone, right? Not just this idea of I have to go and I'm going to do the dishes, I'm going to do some chores, right? That is a form of service. But another way you can serve someone is by all the things we've been talking about in the weeks beforehand of showing them compassion, showing them grace, helping them become a better person. The idea behind service that I think a lot of us might struggle with, though, is we've got to battle this mentality that if I do something for you, you need to do something for me. Right? Service can kind of be almost this action of I need to be paid for what I did. So a lot of us, we struggle with the idea of helping or serving others because if there's nothing in it for me, then why would I do it? Jesus gave us plenty of examples throughout Scripture of the idea of what it actually meant to serve someone and do it from a place of, I am doing this because I care about you. I'm doing this because I love you. I'm doing this because I think you're important. And I'm doing this knowing there is nothing that you can do for me in return to make up for this. I'm just doing it because I love you. One of those examples is John 13. We have the scripture up here. It says this, "It was just before the Passover festival, Jesus knew that the hour had come for him to leave this world and go to the Father. Having loved his own who were in the world, he loved them to the end. The evening meal was in progress, and the devil had already prompted Judas, the son of Simon Iscariot, to betray Jesus. Jesus knew that the Father had to put all things under his power, and that he had come from God and was returning to God. So he got up from the meal, took off his outer clothing, and wrapped a towel around his waist. After that, he poured water into a basin and began to wash his disciples' feet, drying them with a towel and he had wrapped around himself. He came to Simon Peter, who said to him, 'Lord, are you going to wash my feet?' Jesus replied, 'You do not realize now what I am doing, but later you will understand.' 'No,' he said, 'you shall never wash my feet.' Jesus answered, 'Unless I wash you, you have no part with me.' 'Then, Lord,' Simon Peter replied, 'not just my feet, but my hands and my head as well.' Jesus answered this by saying, 'Those who have had a bath need only to wash their feet. Their whole body is clean. And you are clean, though not every one of you is.' Finally, for he knew who was going to betray him, and that's why he was said that not everyone was clean. When he had finished washing their feet, he put on his clothes and returned to this place. 'Do you understand what I have done for you?' he asked them. 'You call me teacher and Lord, and rightfully so, for that is what I am. Now that I, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you also should wash one another's feet. I have set for you an example that you should do as I have done for you. Very truly I tell you, no servant is greater than his master, no messenger is greater than the one who had sent him. Now that you know these things, you will be blessed if you do them." This example Jesus gives us of washing his disciples' feet is one of the purest forms of service. Think about this. Back then, when people would show up at people's houses, they'd walk in and they'd be met by a servant who'd have a towel and a basin or a bowl of water, and the first thing the servant would do would wash the individual's feet. Because they were not walking around in Nikes, they're not walking around in brand new shoes, they were either barefoot or in sandals. So it didn't matter how clean you were, right? If you took a bath beforehand, if you had to walk to get someplace, your feet were going to be dirty. And think about it. It's dirt roads, sandy roads, and there's plenty of animals walking around doing their business, and no one's probably picking up after it, or it's just getting walked over or trampled over. So you're showing up with some really nasty feet, which is why the servant would get down, clean them for you, and then you'd enter the home. So in this moment where Jesus knows what's coming, Jesus knows he's going to go to the cross. He is spending some of his final moments with his disciples, and he decides to get down and wash their feet. It's an action of a servant, of a slave in this moment that he is doing this. But he's doing it from a place of caring. Mentioned that Judas was there. Judas is the one who turned Jesus in, right? Judas is the one who really put everything into play for Jesus to go to the cross. Yet Jesus washed his feet as well. Right? The one person would have made sense. He could have said, "No, I'm not going to touch you." He still did it. I mean, this is our example of what it means to serve not only the ones we love, but potentially serve the ones we don't like, we don't care about. I think the last couple of verses in that passage really give us the thing that wraps this whole series together. It says this: I have set you as an example that you should do as I have done for you. Very truly I tell you, no servant is greater than his master, nor is the messenger greater than the one who sent him. Now that you know these things, you will be blessed if you do them. I think we've talked about this idea of loving. We've talked about this idea of grace and compassion, how to understand someone, how to use the correct words, right? Speaking life and not death. This idea of service is really the idea of love in action. It is taking everything we've talked about, going through Jesus and doing it for others, even the ones that we don't get along with. And for a lot of us, we're hesitant when it comes to this idea. Maybe you're hesitant when it comes to how to show grace or compassion still. Maybe you're hesitant because you say, hey, I got a dirty mouth. I don't know how to say the right things. It is easier for me to speak negatively than it is to speak positively. My advice would be to stay connected to Jesus. We use that example of the vine and the branches. To bear fruit, it comes from those who remain connected to Him. When you go to serve someone, you can serve them wholeheartedly, knowing you might not get anything in return because you have already been connected to God. You're being filled up by Him through your prayer life, through reading scripture, through maybe attending youth group or watching these messages, through your interaction with your friends who are believers. Whatever it is, you are filled up when you are going back to the source, and the source is God. So this week, when you're looking for someone to serve or something to do, my challenge would be do it wholeheartedly. Do it all out with no anticipation of anything given back to you. You know, for us, the example of God and the life and his life of sending His Son for us, who gave His life for us, there's a reality that He did that knowing that there'd be some of us who might struggle to love Him, that might never love Him, but He did it because He loved all of us no matter what. So love your neighbor, serve them well, show grace, show compassion, use words of life, try to understand, and we'll go and let's make this world a better place for all. We love you. We're meeting on Wednesdays from 6 to 8 here at the Student Ministry Center. We'd love for you to join us. Until then, stay safe, and we'll see you soon.